you doing, sir? It's really an honor to get to chat with you, and I'm going to make the most of my 10 minutes, so I'm not going to get too slobbery.
Okay, thank you. No, everything's great. We got some tour dates coming up soon, and NWA has a big event, Crockett Cup, on June 3rd and 4th out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And then, of course, we're doing the World is a Vampire tour later this summer. So it's a crazy time.
Just lots and lots going on. I got to tell you, it was an amazingly rad surprise when my kiddo and I sat down to watch the new Muppet series, Electric Mayhem, and to see you with a cameo in that was super flippin' cool. Can you talk about that on your side of things? I mean, like, I just have to assume that you grew up watching the Muppets like I did.
Oh, yeah. Always a huge fan. And, when they asked me, I immediately said yes. And then my management came back and said, unfortunately, it's on a date where you have all this other stuff to do. You'd have to get up at 6 a.m. and go down there and do all this stuff. And I said, I don't care. I'll do it just to impress my kids. And they're so awesome. They're so talented. It's just cool to watch them work. You find yourself kind of just standing there going, oh my God, this is how the sauce is made with the Muppets. It's so awesome. And then to find yourself in the middle of it, it's like you got to kind of pinch yourself, but there you are,
Yeah, I mean, that's iconic. I mean, the icons get to make the cameos in the Muppet pictures and in the Muppet shows. So that's incredibly cool. And also, one of the things that I've always been such a fan of you, Billy, is that musically, it seems to me that you're never satisfied. Like that you are always striving to do something absolutely excellent to knock our socks off. And you have done that again with Autumn, a rock opera in 3 acts. And I'm curious to know when this became this big, huge project in the process. Like, did you go into it knowing that it was going to be this huge thing, or was it just going to be a record and then it ballooned into this big project?
Well, when James came back to the band about 5 years ago, I sat down with James and Jimmy and mapped out my idea for what eventually became Autumn. And they just kind of shrugged, which in pumpkin language means not a good idea. So it just kind of laid there for a while. And when the pandemic hit, I found myself sitting around with a lot of time. So I thought, right, I'm going to pick this back up. I'm not even going to tell them. I'm just going to start making it. Mm-hmm. Originally, I really only wanted to do a double album. Melancholy was 28 songs. So I figured, okay, it probably shouldn't be any longer than that. And then eventually it ballooned to not only 33 songs on the Autumn album, but there's 10 extra songs that are in the box set that are from another record that we made during the pandemic, which is kind of totally different, more like a fun psychedelic record. So yeah, it was crazy. It just kind of took on a life of its own. And, it's when you're making 33 songs like that, you have good days and bad days. And the bad days are like, oh my God, not only am I making something that's totally insane and is too much work, but who's going to listen to this thing when it's done? And even when I handed in the record to the people we were in business with at the time, those entities said, this is a terrible idea. Don't release it. It's career suicide. They said all the same things they told me about Melancholy. And we ended up severing our business relationships with those people, and somehow it's all worked out. So I just akin it to the power of music, which is if you just put your faith in music and you trust your audience to know when you've done something good, on paper, it sounds like a lot to take on, but at the end of the day, people just want good music. And if it just means they got to listen to it once and find the 5 songs they like, I'm totally cool with that.
Right. And also, too, I think the last thing that, and I would just bet you that you're going to agree with me here, the last thing that we need to be doing is trusting the opinions of a lot of higher up record executives. Those aren't the ones that I'm going to go to for my, is this going to be good or not? I understand you have to, but like, I just feel like those kind of gatekeepers, man, I just don't know how much they matter anymore. Billy, what do you think?
Well, I would put it to you like this. When you start off, everyone tells you don't have anything, and then you create something that has value, and then everyone tells you what you should do with that value. And of course, we many times ignored that advice and did things that now people consider to be classic. Even things that were considered to be failures at the time, like our 4th album, Adore, is now considered one of our classics. Okay, fine. The weird thing is then fast forward 20 years and you're sitting in an office somewhere and somebody is telling you, yeah, all those chances you took back in the day, those worked out fine, but it's different now. Now you need to sort of know that the audience just wants this sound from you. And if you could just give them that sound, everybody will love you and blah, blah. And you're thinking, that's kind of boring. And by the way, that's not why I'm interested in bands. If you look at any time any artist has had a sort of a, let's call it later in their musical journey, they've had sort of a big moment. It's almost never the exact same music that they made earlier. So that always told me that the audience really deep down really wants their favorite artist to come up with something new.
Absolutely. We want to be interested. You know what I mean? That's it. We want you, but we want to be interested. We don't want it to be melancholy every single time. That would be no fun.
But sorry to interrupt you, but people are always telling you that that's what fans want. And you know deep down that's not really what they want. What they're really saying is they want to have the feeling that album gave them, but they don't want the same music. That's where people get lost. And that's where people who aren't musicians try to talk to musicians about how to make their music.
This World is a Vampire tour, I'm so bummed it's not coming to St. Louis. And I hope maybe in future years, if you do it again, you could put us on this tour, because not only do you have killer openers in Interpol, Rival Sons, STP, various dates, but then you've also got your NWA Wrestling in between bands. How awesome is that? Is this a tour that you think could maybe be a regular thing for you guys, or how do you envision it?
We're trying to set up the World as a Vampire to be able to go out every year, even if the Pumpkins aren't on it. In essence, like a traveling festival. So that's the hope there. And I think this is off to a really good start. We've done 11 of them, and both the music, all the great bands that have appeared on the bill with us, but also the wrestling have been really well received. And I must point out, as long as we're talking about St. Louis, we will be back in St. Louis at the Chase for the 75th anniversary show of the NWA late in August. So I definitely will be there. And I'm sad to hear about St. Louis, because, I don't make these schedules, I mean, all that stuff's above my pay grade. Those computers making all those decisions.
I'll tell you, I remember one of the few things about Sunday mornings before church that I look forward to was my dad and I watching Channel 11 here in St. Louis and watching wrestling at the Chase, and him telling me all these stories about these wrestlers. It really made the next 3.5 hours of church bearable. So many tremendous wrestling at the Chase memories. And Billy, as always, I just got to tell you, you are somebody that I respect so much. And I have, been a fan since 1992 and continue to be just as big of a fan now as I was then. And I just hope that you continue with your creativity and the way that you do things, because I respect the hell out of what you do, Billy.
Thank you, my friend. That's so kind. Thank you.